This is the Patriots Drive Podcast.
We are all Patriots.
Where we discuss, analyze, and answer questions to all things happening in the NFL and with our New England Patriots. Now, here's your host, Cole Kelly.
Let's go!
Welcome in to another edition of the Patriots Drive Podcast. Patriots defeat the Browns 45-7 in a blowout today. Great game, big win for this team. Really needed it. If you look at the playoff odds before and after this win, if we would have lost this game, our chances of making the playoffs would have been down significantly from where they are right now. So it was a big win. Thought it was going to be a little bit tougher a game than it was, but after that first drive, it was all Patriots. 45 points straight unanswered after that long drive that long drive given up to the Browns at their first drive, and they were letting up 14.5 yards per carry on that first drive on only 4 runs. So that was a tough first drive. Looked like the game might be a little bit ugly if it continued in that direction, but glad it didn't. Pats also beat the Panthers last week 24-6. Obviously, it's news of the past, but we haven't had an episode since then. So couple good victories in a row, stringing them together, 3-4 wins in a row now, and this team's starting to really feel like they're coming together and starting to get a little rhythm and build chemistry, and it's really fun to watch this football team right now. But I'm here with my co-host Jace Campbell. How's it going, Jace?
It's going good. It's good to be back, especially off of a win like this, something that we've all been waiting for a while now, and we've been winning games, but this is the game that I feel like, it's going to, like Michael says here, put some dang respect on this team. They come in, they play a Browns team who made the AFC Championship game last year. Yes, they were down Nick Chubb, a couple guys just got rid of OBJ, but no Damian Harris, no Jonnu Smith, no Jamie Collins, no Chase Winovich, guys like that. And the rookie quarterback, Mac Jones, steps up. Ramondre Stevenson plays great. Jacoby Myers gets his first touchdown. Defense, absolutely stellar. It was a great game to watch. I'm so dang excited to see where this team goes, where we can climb. And I think that realistically, saying that we can win the AFC East is not out of the question right now with how we're playing. So I'm excited for these next couple of weeks, especially as we go Thursday night football against Atlanta, big game against Tennessee, and then at Buffalo. It's awesome. It's going to be so exciting. For sure.
Thank you guys all for tuning in. What's up, Pat Scout, Michael, and Gabe Pats? How you guys doing? Big win. This team's so fun to watch right now. This is back. This feels like Patriots football again. And like Gabe said, no Damian, no Jonnu, no problem. We had our fair share of guys out as well, and this team stepped up, and that's what it's about. This was Ramondre Stevenson's coming out party, and he really did solid. He looked like a really solid running back out there today. 20 carries, 100 yards, averaging 5 yards per carry. He did great, and that was a huge key to this football game. It looked like both these teams were going to try to be as physical as possible, and the more physical team was going to win the football game, and we controlled the line of scrimmage more than they did. We held Myles Garrett in check for the most part, even though Isaiah Wynn was on him, which was terrifying at the beginning of the game when I realized that was going to be the matchup. And it was kind of interesting to see how they kind of used the offensive line and with Trent Brown being back and all that stuff, and we'll get into that more. But it was great. It was an awesome win. We don't need OBJ. He obviously would have been great to get, but I never really thought we had that big of a shot at him just based on we got so many. Bill spent so much money this offseason on getting weapons, and Hunter Henry, he's a stud. 7 touchdowns his last 7 games. He's in the red zone. He's an animal. He's doing his thing. So it's good to see these guys are starting to build chemistry. Hunter Henry and Mac Jones obviously have their thing going. Kendrick Bourne and Mac Jones, they're starting to build chemistry. Jacoby Myers already has his chemistry kind of with Mac going on, and it's been good. This team just seems to start meshing more and more. The offensive line, we're getting guys back. Chase Winovich he's practiced this week a few days. He should be able to come back next week off the IR. So just got Trent getting Chase back. Obviously, Jamie Collins going on IR is going to hurt a little bit, but he should be back in a few weeks, hopefully. And then it's exciting. This team really has a chance to make a run at the playoffs, and they really helped themselves out today. They got the Falcons next, and then a long week, and then play Tennessee at home. So a couple big games coming up. There's no reason they shouldn't be able to beat the Falcons this week on Thursday Night Football. It kind of feels like one of those trap games where we're starting to get our confidence up, and then the Patriots kind of once in a while have a stinker, but hopefully on a short week, they beat this Falcons team who's struggled the past couple weeks.
Yeah, the Patriots now move into 6th in the AFC playoff picture here behind the Steelers as the only other wild card team ahead of them, who tied today against the Lions. But I'm dang excited to see where this team goes. Yeah, I hope that this isn't a trap game, and I would think that Bill would be on them because, short week. Now they have to prepare. They're probably going to be catching a flight out to Atlanta earlier to play on Thursday night. I think that this team will be ready to play, and they just look like the whole time today that they were, excited and enjoying it. You're up what? It would have been 38-0 or 38-7 at that point when Jacoby Myers caught his touchdown, and the whole bench cleared. There wasn't a soul on the sidelines. And yeah, it was more about Jacoby Myers scoring than the actual score of the game. But that just, I think it shows like how close this team is, how they work together. There's no unselfish play. Ramondre Stevenson steps up, plays absolutely phenomenal for the second week in a row. Honestly, last week over 100 yards. Also this week, 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards again, playing great. And it's just a classic game where New England, it's next man up, right? Oh, well, Damian Harris is down. That sucks. Next man up. I thought Kyle Van Noy stepped up today in the absence of Jamie Collins, which is good. Kyle Van Noy's kind of been a little disappointing this year up to this point, but looks like he's hitting stride. Juwan Bentley playing great again. The whole team just looks like they're hitting stride together. They're getting into playoff form, and it's honestly great because you don't want to hit your stride too early. I think you saw some teams in the NFL that played super good off the start, right off the rip, and now they're having a couple slip-up games. New England, had a couple close games where they should have won them, honestly, and now they're blowing teams out, and they're making a name for themselves in this AFC playoff picture. So it's going to be fun to watch them continue to play. Hopefully we get healthy. Guys coming off the IR will only help us in these tougher games. Tennessee, obviously Buffalo is going to be tough. The Colts is going to be another big one coming up after the bye week. Get some guys healthy for that and be all in to win those games.
I want to touch on a couple comments here real quick. First off, we'll start off with this one. That 99-yard touchdown drive set the tone, in my opinion. I couldn't agree more. I mean, seeing this team, and that was another loss that we had was Gunner, our all-pro punt returner from last year. He wasn't playing this game with that concussion. Jacob Myers was back there. He kind of made a couple mistakes that maybe Gunner wouldn't have made. He probably would have caught him, fair caught, whatever. Rolled down to the 1-yard line. You're like, oh, okay, that's not great. And this team just didn't quit. On third down all day, they were converting. They were 7 for 9 on third down. And if it wasn't for a Isaiah Wynn illegal hands to the face penalty, it would have been 8 for 9 and probably would have been a touchdown. Hunter Henry had like a 13-yard catch for a first down, and we were down at like the 4-yard line and gets called back for a penalty, something we've seen a lot this year. And then we ended up getting a field goal out of it instead of a touchdown. That made the red zone efficiency a little bit less, but I mean, just you look at time possession, 34 minutes to 25. We won that. We won the turnover battle. Punts, they had 4, we had 1. We only allowed 2 sacks. They allowed 5. Third down efficiency, we were 7 for 9. They were 1 for 11. So, I mean, it's just complete mismatch in that aspect. So when we were able to have all those long drives, I can't remember the stat I saw, but I thought we had like 3 or 4 different drives of like over 85 yards, something crazy. Our field position wasn't great, and this offense just trucked down the field and did its thing and got those first downs, got in the red zone, converted on third down, all the things that we talk about, Patriots football, good fundamental football, not beating yourselves, coming up in key situations when you need to convert. And that's what this team did today. So it was great to see. Record could be 13-3, should have beaten the Bucks, Cowboys, and Dolphins, all this stuff. I mean, I don't disagree with, but this is what we were talking about. All these new pieces, rookie quarterback, early in the season, this is what we're talking about. We said this team is not going to mesh right away. It's got a young kid and so many new pieces. It's going to take time. And we try to tell everybody, stay calm. It's going to happen. It's just going to take some time, and it's going to require some patience. And it looks like this team's starting to hit that stride and starting to build that chemistry. And it's so fun to watch, not only the team like on the field in general, but how much fun these guys are having. And I mean, like they showed when our entire team knocked over the cameraman on accident, they all immediately, stopped the celebration, helped that guy up, and then continued on their way. And then, seeing everybody jump around Jacoby and the bench clear basically to support him for that touchdown. This team is so fun to watch. They're having a blast together. The chemistry is amazing, and it's really fun to be a Pats fan right now. This team's playing really good football.
Yeah, 4 touchdown drives over 80 yards, 3 of them over 90 yards. That's incredible. Yeah. I don't know if you'll ever see that again. Hopefully you see that again and they continue that. 5 for 6 touchdowns in the red zone. or 5 for 6 scoring in the red zone. Sorry, I'm trying to think. We only kicked 1 field goal, so that's at least going to be, and that was a 38-yarder. So technically that probably wasn't in the red zone. So 5 for 6 scoring in the red zone, probably all those being touchdowns, if not one of them. That's massive. I mean, yeah, you still win if you go 2 for 6 or 3 for 6, but it doesn't look as dominating as it did. This is just a game where outside of that first drive, New England dominated. I mean, I thought, like you mentioned, that the game was going to be close. I thought that it was going to be a fast-paced game with the way both teams were running the ball right off the rip. I'm like, oh, the clock's not going to stop much. They were going to run the ball. They ran the ball effectively for the 20 carries they had. They were getting 5 yards a carry, but they couldn't run it consistently because they had to go up tempo. They had to push the ball down the field. They had to put points on the board. And that's not the type of offense the Browns have really built here with Baker Mayfield. They're going to, chip away with their run game. They're going to chip away. They're going to do play action pass. Then they're going to hit a shot on you. And we never allowed them to get in that groove where they could do that. And it benefited you. You saw the pass rush getting home, Matt Judon, Dietrich Wise, I think Lawrence Guy, guys like them getting in, getting sacks. Barmore had a ton of pressures again. They were just out of sync offensively because of the way the defense played. And it was great. Defense complemented the offense. Great starting field position multiple times in the game. Obviously, the pick was one. 4th down stop late in the game. It was just an all-around team effort. Best game we've played as a team by far. I mean, maybe the defense played better one game or the offense did, but I mean, this is it. I think Patrick said it here. Like we back, baby. People are putting their respect on us. I mean, there's been talks all around the league today. This has been the big topic. Like New England, like watch out. And I texted one of my buddies this, and I'm like, I just think it's more and more eye opening. And I don't know if anyone saw the future, but that Mac Jones fell to us at 15. It was a blessing in disguise. The media wanted to push Trey Lance. They wanted to push Justin Fields. And I don't think those guys are going to be horrible quarterbacks, but to succeed the success that Mac Jones is having right now in this system, it was a blessing in disguise. And I don't think anyone should ask if it was the right decision to cut Cam and put Mac Jones in. This team goes as Mac Jones goes. And yes, he has great complementary pieces around him, but the future is Mac Jones right now. And we're seeing it. He's making a push for offensive rookie of the year. Originally, you might have thought Jamar Chase because of how he started the season, but Mac Jones, if he continues this play, he could be offensive rookie of the year. And it's awesome to see.
And I mean, if you look at it, maybe Jamar Chase at his position might be higher up immediately than Mac Jones is, just with the crazy numbers he was putting up. But it's so much harder to succeed as a rookie quarterback in the NFL. And I think you got to take that into consideration when you're talking about offensive rookie of the year. What Mac Jones is doing is so much harder than what Jamar Chase is doing. You see wide receivers have success all the time coming in the draft, their rookie year. A lot of different guys have success depending on their system. Mac Jones, you don't see a lot of rookie quarterbacks have success their first year. Justin Herbert was an anomaly. Outside of him and Mac Jones currently, there's not a lot of guys. I mean, you look at like way back when Peyton Manning, his rookie year, he was absolutely terrible. And look what he ended up being. It's not easy to do this so early. So it's crazy that he fell to us at 15. I don't blame people because you see the talent that those guys have in college, and the college game's so different than the NFL. And it jumps off the screen at you when you see guys like Trey Lance and Justin Fields running around, making these plays with their legs. They're definitely still talented. I mean, Justin Fields, that play he made a couple weeks ago was insane, where he ran around the pocket, ran to one side of the field, ran to the other, and scored a touchdown. He's got talent for sure. A lot of these guys do, but the fact that Mac Jones fell to us at 15, and he might be the best quarterback currently in this. He's definitely right now the best quarterback in this draft, and we'll see how that ends up 5-10 years down the road. But falling to us at 15 is insane. We didn't have to trade anything for him, and his contract being at 15 compared to if he got picked at like 3 is so much less for us. So it's great. I'm really excited to keep seeing how this kid grows. I did see that N'Keal Harry blocked the crap out of Myles Garrett. It's on Instagram. He did. And I do got to give him his credit. He obviously hasn't been what we've wanted him to be in the passing game, but in the running game, he's a big body wide receiver who can move bodies a little bit at the cornerback position and even do chip blocks and all that stuff. He does play well in that sense. So that has been good to see. Bills are going to be a pain there. I mean, they've been up and down, but they're playing some good football. They're a good team. Their defense is way better than I thought it was going to be this year. But going back to what you said about the run game,
Here's the N'Keal Harry block real quick, just in case anyone hasn't seen it.
Yeah,
you're going to see N'Keal Harry motion down right here, and you're just going to see Myles Garrett, the league leader in sacks, just absolutely get put on his back. And
boom. I mean,
it's just a classic. It's great coaching, honestly, and N'Keal executed it great. But this is how you have to slow down Myles Garrett. This was in the back of his head the rest of the game. I promise you it was. They chipped him with Hunter Henry. They chipped him with J.J. Taylor. There was always multiple guys on him. And the one time there wasn't, New England gave up a sack. Isaiah Wynn couldn't cut him effectively, and he got around and got a sack. But for the majority of the game, New England slowed him down because of great coaching, great execution, not only using a left tackle, a right tackle to stop him, but other guys. It was crazy. He was phenomenal today, I thought. And we'll get into it in the good, bad, injured, I'm sure. But go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. And I do want to touch on this real quick. Cam Newton back to the Panthers, obviously. I think we both kind of agree on this. I'm happy for him. I think it's great to see him be so excited to be back at home. And I think it's good for that Panthers team, that organization. Their quarterback situation is a mess right now. And maybe he can revamp his career a little bit. I don't think he's ever going to be anywhere near what he was, but maybe he can be a top 20, top 25 quarterback with the weapons around him. They do have talent. I mean, Christian McCaffrey's a freak, one of the best running backs in the NFL. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and their young running back too has been pretty solid as well. So it's good to see. Cam's obviously excited. We'll see. It's, if anything, it's going to be just fun to watch. You know what I mean? Just seeing how that situation plays out. But I kind of agree with Patrick here. Mac might not win because of Pat's hate, and get ready. The Pat's hate is rising. That means we're good. The Mac Jones situation with Brian Burns is one of the most blown out of proportion stories I've ever seen in my life. Like, it is ridiculous. He made a statement. He thought he had the ball. I mean, he just got cracked, and it looks like the Brian Burns is kind of leaning over, and maybe he thought he picked it up, grabbed his leg. Burns tries to twist out of it, and he falls to the ground, gets hurt, but he's in 2 plays later, so he's not actually hurt. And I heard a couple guys on NBC were talking about, okay, so if Brian Burns hits a quarterback in the head and gets a penalty for that, is he going to apologize every time he does something? Like, it's just, I don't know. The situation has been so blown out of proportion. I think that has a lot to do with the Patriots. Everybody likes to hate on the Patriots. They don't like to see them succeed. When the Pats start doing good, they get more media attention. People start saying different things, this and that. Oh, discrediting what the Patriots have been doing. I almost like it better when nobody thinks we're good and we're kind of the underdog and just doing our thing. That's been fun to kind of see this team build up to where now people are like, okay, maybe the Pats are actually a team that can make a little run and surprise some people. So it's great to see. Yeah, I saw this as well. Myles Garrett saying, I hope Mac Jones doesn't do that to me this week. But Myles Garrett is the guy who ripped Mason Rudolph's helmet off and smashed him over the head with it. And he's talking crap to Mac Jones saying, oh, I hope Mac doesn't twist my ankle. Well, I think Mac should say, oh, I hope you don't take my helmet off and smash me over the head with it, try to kill me. Like, I don't know. He's the last person on earth who should be trying to say something about Mac Jones' situation with that. He addressed it. He moved on. I think he handled it well. And I hope it's in the past, because it's been very blown out of proportion for what actually happened. You see plays like that all the time. It's just you don't usually see it with a quarterback, and that's why it's been so blown out of proportion. But the thing that I wanted to touch on was you were talking about the running game for them. And that first drive, Dearness Johnson had 4 carries for 58 yards, averaged 14.5 yards per carry. After that, the rest of the game after that first drive, he averaged 2.7 yards per carry. So that's the whole thing right there. The run defense stepped up, forced Baker Mayfield to win the football game, and he couldn't do it. We only had like 1 interception this game. We could have had 3 or 4 at least. There were so many plays where he put the ball up for grabs, and JC dropped one. Duggar dropped one later in the game. It's just, there was a lot of opportunities to get turnovers in this game. And Van Noy, like you said, he made a nice play too, knocking the ball out. We couldn't recover it. Uche didn't grab it, but just this defense played really, really well. This run defense after that first drive played really well to hold this Browns offense in check and to put a lot on Baker's plate. And I mean, once Baker starts playing a certain way, it kind of snowballs on him, and he kind of continues to, if he's playing good, he builds confidence, does better and better. If he plays bad, he loses confidence and goes downhill. And that's kind of the day he had early on. He had success that first drive. We almost got the 4th down stop, but couldn't. And then after that, it was all Patriots, and 45-point run after that. It was great to see.
Yeah, I wanted to share a couple clips. Talking to Mac Jones, someone said in the comments that Mac Jones can carry us to the playoffs. I agree. I don't know why you wouldn't believe it. The thing that we saw today that we're seeing more and more of is he throws the ball with great accuracy that we all knew, but he can throw it on a line. We saw it right here. This is going to be the Kendrick Bourne touchdown. And then we also saw him putting it on the money in the back of the end zone. This is a great catch by Kendrick Bourne too. Like, good throw. Mac Jones puts it where only Kendrick Bourne can get it. He goes up and makes a catch. And then the other one that is great, that shows the touch that he can put on the ball where he doesn't have to throw it in a bolt every time, is this one to Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry just runs a nice little out route, corner right to the pylon. Mac Jones drops it in the bucket, puts his feet in, gets 2 feet in, scores a touchdown. It's great to see him doing it in multiple ways. He's not just throwing it in there. He's not trying to force feed guys the ball in double coverage. It's awesome. I'm loving watching him really, cut through defenses and show his smartness, his ability, that a lot of people questioned at first. Like, oh no, he's a college system quarterback. No, he's not. This dude can do it all. He can check at the line. He can check protections, check plays, check the runs, whatever it is. Dump off screen passes with enough touch where the running back can get it. He can make it make accurate passes where the receiver doesn't get his head taken off over the middle. It's awesome. He is really impressing us more and more, which is crazy to say because I've been impressed with Mac Jones since week 3 and 4 once he kind of set in. But you're seeing the offensive play calling and Mac Jones him being comfortable and opening it up, taking shots down the field, getting these passes. It's not the dink and dunk anymore like we saw in the first couple of weeks. It's a great offense. This was fun football to watch. I don't remember the last time I've been. Obviously, I love watching Patriots games, but this was fun. This was a fun
really
football
fun.
game. For the first time since I think Brady left, this was like, this is fun. Like, obviously, it's always fun, but the Cam Newton era was different. This was like a different type of fun. This is just like, this is fun. Yeah, I agree right here. That Curtis said, this is Tom Brady all over again, right? Like, that's what we're talking about. Like, in his prime, the Randy Moss days with Gronk and stuff like that. We're seeing that with Hunter Henry in the red zone. Like, it really is. The team is looking like what the Tom Brady era looked like. Now, I'm not going to say that they're better than the Tom Brady era, but you're starting to see what Bill was building in the offseason with all these signings.
Yeah, and it's funny. There's a couple things on Instagram I saw today. This one guy graded the Patriots draft and gave Mac Jones an F and said, you can't take Mac Jones is a career backup and you can't take that at 15 in the first round. That's a wasted pick. And he's been getting just toasted. I mean, a bunch of Pats fans going in his comments and saying, like, really? That's F? Like, and he's tried to continue to back it up, saying Mac's not good. But, I mean, he's been playing really, really good football. He's making some great throws. That catch by Kendrick Bourne was phenomenal, but the throw might have been even better. Only where he could get it, split 2 defenders, a jump ball for KB. I mean, threw it in there perfectly. So, I mean, this game was really fun to watch. This is by far the best game this team has played since Brady left. I mean, for sure. And even in Brady's last year or two, this might be one of the best games this team's played as a whole on offense, defense, and special teams. Less special teams this game, maybe, but offense and defense against a good playoff contending team that has been solid. They started out 3-1. They've struggled a little bit, bounced back, played the Bengals last week and smacked them. This team's playing really well right now. And not only the team in general, like the players on the field, but Steve Belichick is coaching an amazing game on the defense side of the ball. He's improving week to week. I don't know how much of a hand Belichick has in that, but also Josh McDaniels. I mean, his play calling has been phenomenal recently, and it's not only the play calling, but the execution by the players. It's all coming together, and it's great. And I agree with Gabe here. It's going to be scary once we can integrate Aguilar and Jonnu fully into this offense. We haven't scratched the surface with Jonnu Smith yet. This guy's talented, and he just hasn't been showing up. Once he starts to click with the rest of this team, it's going to be great. It's going to add a whole nother dimension to this offense, along with Aguilar. Mac has, and I think obviously he doesn't want to overthrow the ball, but I think he's trying to miss far instead of short so that either Aguilar gets it or nobody gets it. And eventually he might start clicking with Aguilar. If we start hitting some of these deep shots, it's going to open up the run game even more. The defense going to have to pay attention more to that. Not only that, but our backfield. Stevenson has kind of shown what he can do at this point. Now when Damian Harris comes back and we got him, Stevenson, and Bolden or JJ Taylor, whoever we end up going with. But Bolden's been playing pretty well as well in the passing game. Ramondre is a beast. There was multiple times where I thought he was down 1 yard past the line of scrimmage, and he ends up scraping out 5 or 6 yards out of it. He did really solid. I was really impressed with what I saw from him. That's a good sign. The running game is going to be great. Trent Brown played well today. I don't love taking Mike Onwenu out when he's probably been our best tackle this year so far. Isaiah Wynn's been struggling more. I kind of thought maybe we throw Trent at left tackle and keep Onwenu at right tackle because, I think PFF graded him the second or third best offensive tackle in the league right now for his season grade at that position. So he's playing really well. I'm not really sure why he's the one who's going to the bench, but it's gonna be good to at least have the options of, hey, Trent's playing well, Onwenu's playing well. We can move these guys around, and whatever works best in practice in the games, we'll do that. But this team's coming together, and it's so fun to watch. And this was supposed to be a close game. I think the betting line as of today was Patriots -1, and we won by almost 40 points, 38 points. Heck of a game versus a good Browns team, and this team's getting fun to watch on a weekly basis. Really, really fun.
Yeah, and Isaiah Wynn has actually came on, in my opinion, since he came off the COVID list. But I still agree. Michael Onwenu, I loved the fact that we did put in him as an extra tackle on the goal line. I think that can be a package, whether Michael Onwenu's starting over Isaiah Wynn. But we have 6 offensive linemen that legitimately could be unstoppable from the 5-yard line in, that can get great push, great guys to get up to the second layer or second level and block them. So I like that package, but I agree. And I think I saw something that said Isaiah Wynn was one of the top rated run blocking offensive tackles, just below Michael Onwenu. I'd have to pull that up. Maybe I'll try to find that as the show goes on, but they've both been impressive. Now, I think Michael Onwenu, his consistency is what intrigues me. Is we haven't had a problem with Michael Onwenu before. And there's been times where Isaiah Wynn has shown flashes of potential and he drops off the next game. And penalties have been an issue. You mentioned the one today. Obviously, we're winning by a lot, so people take it lightly, but he has had his penalty issues. So it was a little concerning to me. I think that whatever gets this New England team consistency on the offensive line, I'm not going to argue, but it was a little head scratcher to see Michael Onwenu not playing as much as Isaiah Wynn was, and Trent Brown coming right off IR and playing pretty much every snap of the game. Now, I think that now we can't give Trent Brown crap because he kind of shut our mouths. Now, hopefully he plays the rest of the season and doesn't go on IR.
I don't know if he shut our mouths. He couldn't even play the whole game today. At one point, he was on the sideline and he got his calf wrapped up.
You mean when we were up 40?
No, this was I think this was second quarter, and I posted on my story. I think Ryan Hannibal maybe tweeted that Trent Brown was on the sideline and his calf was now wrapped. So I was like, oh boy, here we go. And I don't know if that was just maintenance because he ended up coming back in, but I'm not ready to give him all the credit in the world yet. He's successfully made it through one NFL game this year. Congratulations. After a day-to-day injury, 14 plays week 1. Now he's missed almost 10 weeks and now he's back. So I'm glad he's back. I'm glad he's okay. I'm glad the calf injury wasn't so severe that, he was able to step on a football field again. So that's good. But he did play well today. I think if he can stay healthy and play with this team in all seriousness, I think it's going to be great for the team. He is a great offensive lineman. He's great in the run blocking, great in the passing game. He's really a solid tackle. So, you could see a few of the runs that really got opened up was because of him. He's moving people and the running backs are going in right behind him, right where he opened up a hole. So it's good to see some of these pieces getting healthy. Hopefully we stay relatively healthy with injuries, and hopefully John can come back this week and that injury can be cleaned up pretty quick. But we open up as 5.5 point favorites against the Falcons in Atlanta on Thursday night. So that's going to be a fun game. Hopefully they continue to play as well as they're playing right now. Cause I can't emphasize enough how much fun this team is to watch. And it's good to see that they're starting to do it at home along with on the road. So hopefully that becomes more of a theme as well, but they're stringing them together. And like you said, they're 6th right now in the playoff seeding. 7th is the Chargers, who we have the tiebreaker over. So I think you said the Steelers are 5th.
Steelers are 5th. Yep. And that's tie today. We could have jumped up into 5th.
That's not a team I trust at all the rest of the year.
They're going to play they have a tough division schedule, right? They're going to play the Browns. They're going to play the Bengals. They're going to play the Ravens. they have a tough schedule in division. So yeah, I don't know how much you can trust them, and they didn't look good today. Obviously, Big Ben didn't play, but we'll see how they finish out the season.
Yeah. You too, Patrick. Have a good night. Thanks for tuning in. It's yeah, I agree. I think there's no reason that we can't be the 5 seed at the minimum, and there's a chance if we beat Buffalo twice, there's a very good chance we win this division, and that's not going to be easy to do. We could very well lose to Buffalo twice, so I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. But the way they're playing football right now, I don't think there's a single team in the NFL that they can't beat, and that's really encouraging. That feels like more like what Patriots football has been in the past, and it's early on too. This is his rookie season. You know what I mean? We have no idea the progress that he could make from right now to the beginning of next year. We could be talking about this team competing for a Super Bowl a lot sooner than we expected. I don't see any reason why this team can't make a playoff run. If they're playing like they're playing, and that's no guarantee, teams might start to figure things out. They might start to do different things. The more tape you have on a team, the easier it is to stop. But if they continue to play at the level they're playing right now, there's no reason they can't go to they can't win a wild card game, maybe win a divisional game, go to the AFC Championship, something like that. There's no reason this team can't do that if they continue to play like they're playing and stay healthy.
Yep, I'm going to pull this up. I found the tweet I was talking about just so people don't say I'm making it up. This is highest graded run blocking offensive tackles over the last few weeks. Trent Williams, Isaiah Wynn, Colton Miller, and then Michael Owenu. So over the last 3 weeks, now this was before today's game, so we'll see how that works. But since he came off the COVID list, he has been very, very good run blocking. I think he's been improved pass blocking, you would say. Still obviously not to the level Michael Owenu has been all the way around, but that is very encouraging to see that stat that he is improving and he is getting better, especially that we gave him his 5th-year contract and hopefully look to extend him.
And I've never really had a problem necessarily with his run blocking. It's his pass blocking that is tough, and him getting holding penalties, constantly knocking us back 10 yards or letting a guy fly by with barely even touching him and letting Mac just get clobbered. So that's more what I'm concerned about, especially somebody protecting your blind side. You want him to be your best tackle in most situations, and he obviously has not been in the passing game. As a run blocker, he seems to be doing his own, holding his own and doing well, but I think the reason that they're giving him these opportunities is because they have some stock in him. They picked up that 5th-year option. They're owing him $10 million on the books next year, I believe. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. It would be really good to see us retain the entire line for next season. We could draft a cornerback a lot higher in a really good cornerback class, maybe even double up. I agree. If we can keep this offensive line, which Trent Brown's a free agent, so that's no guarantee, and if we can figure out the best spot to put on Onwenu, whether that's guard, he seems to be a much better tackle than he is a guard currently. So if we can find a spot for him to be, or retain this offensive line and in this depth that we have, Karras is playing well at guard. So I don't know if he's playing better than Onwenu has played at guard. But cornerback, if we can draft a corner and we can keep JC Jackson, we're going to have JC Jackson, Jonathan Jones, and a top corner. That makes me feel really, really, really good about our defense. And then grab a linebacker. I think this draft is going to be more about some defensive pieces that we need. We'll get into that more obviously when the year ends and when we figure out who we take for free agents and who we re-sign, all that stuff. But it's probably going to be a more defensive minded draft, and it's going to be, if we can keep this offensive line, it's going to really help us for the future and for building continuity at that position and for this team in general. So obviously, I don't love having Trent Brown and Isaiah Wynn, 2 tackles who have been really injury prone the past few years. That's not always the best, but when they're healthy and when they're playing as to their potential, this offensive line is one of the best in the league, and I don't think there's any question about that.
Yeah, I want to see the offensive line combination of Trent Brown back at left tackle, a winner at right tackle, and seeing what too. Isaiah Wynn can do inside. Isaiah Wynn was a great guard in 15 and 16 at Georgia, and then he moved to left tackle in 17, and then came out and got drafted in the 1st round. But he's athletic. He has long arms. He's 6'3", which is not massive for a tackle when you think of some of the bigger, more successful offensive tackles. I mean, Michael Owenu was 6'3", so that's a good one. Obviously, Trent Brown's massive. Shaq Mason 6'1", David Andrews is 6'3". So his size matches more of the interior offensive line type of guy, and he has played it before. So I still would not mind seeing that. Now, I don't know if that's a possibility, and he's obviously playing great, so maybe don't even move him and ruin it. But I think I would be very intrigued to see that. I think he can move well enough to pull as an offensive guard, also make some great holes on power. Put him on the left side with Trent Brown and pull them both or something if you're running counter or power or something. I would be very intrigued to see that, but I don't know if that's going to happen. It's just one thing that keeps coming through my mind as you think of, where could be the weak link in the offensive line right now. And I think of Ted Karras. I don't think he's played bad, like you said, but it gives me a little concern that he has been playing their extended reps. How is he going to fare throughout the season? So if that's the one spot I see, I would like to see Isaiah Wynn go there more than I'd like to see Michael Winu. I've seen enough domination from Michael Winu at the tackle position to just keep him there and say, you're an NFL starting right tackle. You were an all rookie last year. You're graded high enough to maybe be an all pro this year at the position. So I love Michael Winu at the right tackle position. And obviously it's hard when you have Trent Brown there too, because he's an all pro talent also, but you got to move one of them at some point. Cause if you're going to have Michael Winu sitting on the bench, that might be a wasted talent.
Yeah, for sure. If you guys have any questions you want us to answer while we're going through this stuff, just drop it in the comments and we'll touch on those topics as well as we go through this. But yeah, and obviously Bill Belichick sees the team every day. I trust him that he will build the best offensive line combination and do what he thinks is best. But that combination seems like the best by far. And don't get me wrong, I love Karras. He almost never commits any penalties. He doesn't make many mistakes. He's not the most talented necessarily, but he works extremely hard. And it seems like he is always in the right place at the right time. He has a lot of experience. Him as a depth player is fantastic. So if we can keep him as a backup guard or center, which we probably won't because he's probably going to be getting more money than a backup is worth. But he's been great. I've been completely fine with how he's done so far this year. And if he's playing better than they think Isaiah Wynn can at left guard, then I don't care if we keep Karras there and move Trent Brown to left tackle. But I think Trent at left tackle, protecting Max blindside, on Wenu at right tackle is one of the best tackle combinations this in the league currently. I mean, they're two players that when they're at their ceiling, they're extremely talented. On one who's already playing like one of the best right tackles in the league, and Trent Brown at his best playing left tackle, he's a monster. So that would be scary, along with Shaq Mason and David Andrews at right guard and then center, and then left guard we could have Ted Karras or Isaiah Wynn, either one, whichever one's best. I think that offensive line combination would be disgusting. I think playing smash mouth football, we could run it on basically whoever we wanted to, and I think we could hold up in the pass game, pass block against some of the best in the league. I mean, I trust Trent Brown against a Myles Garrett. Obviously, Myles Garrett is one of the best in the league. He's going to make his fair share of plays, but I trust Trent Brown against guys like that. I trust Mike Onwenu against guys like that. He held his own against Joey Bosa. Last year, he held his own against some elite pass rushers. He doesn't allow many pressures or many sacks. So those two guys on the ends of this offensive line, that's a good combo. So I don't know if that's something Bill will maybe test out. I don't know if it was because Trent Brown's just easing his way back in and he wants to play him where he was comfortable at right tackle. But if they can get that combination out on the field this year, I think it's going to be lethal.
Hey, you can't compliment Trent Brown. You're Trent Brown's biggest hater. You can't compliment him. Come on.
All right. I'll tune it down.
Just kidding. Let's get into some of the player stats. Obviously, the two big ones: Ramondre Stevenson, 20 carries, 100 yards, 5 yards per carry. Also added in 14 yards receiving on 4 catches. Then Kendrick Bourne, 2 yards shy of the 100-yard mark. I just wanted to read.
Also, Kendrick Bourne had 3 carries for 43 yards. So.
He did. You're right. So he over 100 total yards, just under 100 yards through the air. But I wanted to read Ramondre Stevenson's NFL scouting report because when I read this today, this kind of blew my mind. First, this is just the negatives. First one, lacks explosion and quick twitch to make defenders miss consistently in phone booth. I've been very impressed with the way that he has ran in tight spaces. I think that he doesn't go down easily on first contact. He can make guys miss. He's shifty. He's a lot more explosive as a runner as we thought he was at the size and the weight he is. Now, coming out of the draft, he was 5'11", almost 6 foot, 231 pounds. I don't know what he currently is now, but they said lacks explosion, quick twitch. Now, I don't think he's the twitchiest or most explosive running back in the league. He's not Christian McCaffrey type, Alvin Kamara type, but he gets going sometimes and he makes guys miss. You're like, I mean, that's impressive for how big he is. The next one, below average long speed. You saw him start to slow down a little bit on that 90-yard touchdown run in the offseason or in the preseason, but he had the ability to outrun, NFL type of safeties and corners. Has vision, but lacks the burst to consistently take advantage of the holes that he sees. I mean, I kind of touched on that. I think he's been very good at all these negatives that they gave him, and maybe he's still, not the most explosive guy. He's not taking advantage, but 2 weeks in a row, he has impressed the crap out of me. And I don't think that he's better than Damien Harris, but I think that 1-2 punch, the different style of running they have, Damien Harris being hard-nosed, run through your face type of guy, and Ramondre Stevenson having the ability to do that, but being more shifty and elusive and making guys miss. I think that it's great. And I don't think anyone could have predicted Ramondre Stevenson coming on like he did. Especially once we traded Sony Michel. We knew that Bill had a plan for him, but I don't think we would have seen him being this good.
I agree. And I think, like you said, Damian Harris, he runs the ball so hard. He runs like his hair is on fire, and he just can pound the rock, and he can run people over, break tackles, make people miss. Ramondre Stevenson is capable of doing that in a sense as well, but he also is capable of running with some finesse and being patient with the ball and finding the hole. And even if he gets hit at the line of scrimmage, he can break it and still get 3, 4, 5 yards extra after the play. And the kid's got talent, not only in the running game, but in the passing game. He's been great on screen passes. When he has the ball in open space, he's great at reading his blocks and making people miss with simple moves. It's not like he's doing anything crazy, but he just basically just runs to the right, runs to the left, whatever, and just kind of floats through there. And it's awesome. It's another guy in the 4th round that we just picked, and he looks like he's going to be a guy that's going to be a key factor in this team for the next 3-4 years or longer. So that's great to see. I want to touch on this question we just got. Do we need the Chiefs or Raiders to win? Does it matter? So if we're looking at playoff standings currently, we would want the Chiefs to win because the Raiders are ahead of us. They're in the 4 spot right now. They're 5-3. So that would drop them to 5-4. Chiefs would be 6-4. Well, though, because then the Chiefs actually would be ahead of us.
I really don't think it matters because both of them are leading they're both leading their division.
So whichever team wins this game will be the leader in that division and will go to the 4 spot no matter what.
Yeah,
so
and then the loser will come into the wild card because the Chargers are 5-4. So if the Raiders go to 5-4, do the Raiders have the tiebreaker? It's something you have to look at. If the Chiefs go to 5-5, they stay down. So I don't think anyone's going to pass us today with this game that's being played right now. We're staying at 5th no matter what today. Yes.
But
so it's just
if the Chiefs lose, they go to 5-5, and the Raiders go to 6-3. But if the Chiefs win, so that would keep the Chiefs out of the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
But if the Raiders, if the Chiefs win and the Raiders lose, then the Raiders might have a tiebreaker over the Chargers, but we'd still stay in our spot. So that doesn't really matter. I'd probably root for the Raiders to win just because I have more confidence that Kansas City is going to figure it out, and they're going to be a team that's going to be scary in the playoffs if they can get things figured out on defense. And they're the Chiefs. They're gonna figure it out. So I'd rather see the Raiders win and create a little more separation and put more pressure on the Chiefs to where they don't have a high seed in the playoffs, and we don't have to play a team like them first game or whatever it ends up being. So I'd probably say Raiders, but it really doesn't matter for our position this week. So that's just kind of figures out who their division leader is, and they're going to be whoever wins this game is going to be 4th. So it doesn't really matter. But they're at 17-7 right now. Chiefs up.
Yep.
But yeah, so that doesn't really matter in our situation.
For sure. Well, let's hop into the good and the injured. I'm changing the subject today. There's not too many bads, so but no, the good, bad, and the injured that we do. Unless you have anything else about the player stats, I'm sure we'll talk about a lot more players here as we get into the good.
Yeah, we'll
Cole,
get into it.
Who was one of your goods or your most good? I know that's horrible grammar, but who was your most goodest player today?
My most goodest player was I got to go with Ramondre Stevenson. I think Mac and he's going to be on one of our lists here, but I think Ramondre Stevenson, his ability to run the ball and keep that as a factor in the game for us and make the Browns have to put more people at the line of scrimmage, stack the box a little bit in certain situations. I think that opened things up in the passing game, and that's when this team is best, and is when they are not one-dimensional, when they can do multiple different things. When they can run and pass the ball equally as well, it puts teams in a bind on defense, and we can, whatever they're showing for a look, we can do the other thing, and it's going to have us have success if we execute. So I think having Ramondre perform the way he did today balanced out our offense a lot and made the game plan a lot easier, and made it a lot easier on Mac Jones as well. So I thought he was fantastic. He made a lot of really big plays, broke some tackles, made people miss, did his thing. He was a factor in the running game and the passing game and blocking. I thought he had a fantastic day.
Yeah, I agree. I would give Ramondre Stevenson my just for the circumstances that he had, my number one, the gold medal, I guess, if you want to call it, for what he did. My other guy, I'm going to go with Kendrick Bourne, not only what he did in the passing game, but in the rushing game. You mentioned it. 3 carries, 43 yards, over 100 yards on the day, which it was great for him. And you saw him make a great play going up the ladder, catching it. You saw him make a great play where he caught it in space on a slant from Hoyer and was able to run. And you saw him break a couple tackles, almost score a rushing touchdown. So I was very impressed with Kendrick Bourne. He's coming in, being a great spell to Jacoby Myers, guys like that. And honestly might be one of the most productive receivers that we've had this year outside of Jacoby Myers.
Maybe even with Jacoby Myers, honestly. Kendrick Bourne's been great. I just want to touch on this question real quick while we're talking about receivers. Do you think we can use Nelson Aguilar more than we are? Possibly, but I'm not. I mean, obviously, he's an explosive wide receiver, and you'd like to see more explosive plays with him, but it's not like he's not being targeted. Max taking the shots once in a while. It's keeping the defense honest. Aguilar is opening up a lot of things. He's drawing safety's attention and opening up things for Kendrick Bourne and Jacoby Myers. Honestly, the type of receiver he is, he's kind of forced to be in this offense a really unselfish player. And I think it's been great to see how supportive he is of all the other receivers whenever they're having success. He's not getting down saying, oh, well, I didn't get the touchdown. I didn't get the catch. I'm only catching 2 balls for 20 yards a game, whatever. He's been extremely supportive of Mac Jones, all the receivers. He's getting just as hyped up as everybody else. And he's being a really unselfish player by taking the top of the defense and opening up opportunities for these other guys. So I'm fine with how Aguilar's done. Obviously, on the contract he's on, you'd like to see more production, but he's doing his part in the offense, and he's creating a lot of opportunities for the tight ends and the other slot receivers and stuff like that. So I'm not upset about that at all. On to my next good player. Obviously, we've talked about it. Mac Jones. He was great. His stats today. Let's see. There we go. He was 19 for 23, 82.6% completion percentage, 198 yards and 3 touchdowns. He had some really, really nice throws today. That one to the Kendrick Bourne we talked about, that touch pass to Hunter Henry. He made some great throws, and he's continuing to gain more confidence. Every time he steps back in the pocket, if he has time, I'm confident that when he throws the football, it's going to get completed. His receivers made some tough catches for him. Hunter Henry made a great catch diving to the sideline. That was awesome. Jacoby Myers got smacked over the middle of the field, made a big catch on 3rd down. Kendrick Bourne on 3rd down, a big conversion. He's so meticulous back there, reading defenses and giving it to the open guy. He's been really impressive and just continues week to week to be better and better. He was in a little slump there the past couple of weeks. Panthers, he didn't play, lights out. And I think the game before that, he might have had a little bit of a down game. I can't remember. Maybe it was the game before that game, but he's out of that. He was talking about how his fundamentals were a little bit off when the Chargers and Panthers games. He was talking about week of practice wasn't that great. Fundamentals, he was working on a couple things. So he seemed to clean that up, and he seems to be firing on all cylinders today. He was lights out. You can't ask a quarterback to be much better than he was today.
Yeah, 18 for 35 against the Chargers, 12 for 18 against the Panthers, both 51. Well, and then if you go back to the Jets game, 24 for 36. He was under 70% completion percentage for 3 games in a row. And, he had 300 yards against the Jets, 2 touchdowns, 217 yards against the Chargers, no touchdowns, 139 yards against the Panthers and 1 touchdown. But today he didn't have to do too much. He did exactly what he needed to do. He capitalized on what he needed to do, made some great throws, both velocity-wise, accurate, touch-wise. He was phenomenal. I think every week you could give Mac Jones a good, the majority of the weeks, because for a rookie quarterback like we talked about and the way he's playing, he should always get a good. But this was one of his better weeks. 82.5% completion percentage. That's nuts. I mean, that's elite. And this was a pretty dang good defense that people thought going into the year. Now they're dealing with injuries, and they still have some guys that are out right now. But this was a top, half, maybe top 10 defense going into the year that people were saying, this is what's going to carry them. This in the run game is going to carry them to the AFC Championship game again. But Mac Jones picked them apart meticulously. He was great. And the yards are kind of lower than what people would expect, but you can't complain about that. I mean, he took what they gave him and he sliced them. So I agree. Mac Jones getting my good. The second one for me, I'm going to go on the defensive side. I already mentioned it. It's Kyle Van Noy, forced fumble, 5 tackles, 1 sack. Looked like he was getting back in to his old form, which is good, not only because of the way that he can play when he's playing good, but it's really good to see him for leadership wise. Him and Dante Hightower also 6 tackles, half a sack. Those guys taking what they do in the locker room, putting good play on the field, it only improves our defense. And our defense was lights out today, so it could go to a lot of different guys. But Calvin Noy, Dante Hightower, 2 guys that Patriots fans might have been down on before today. They really stood out to me with what they did.
And Hightower over the past couple weeks has kind of been improving. And obviously we didn't talk about it because we didn't do an episode last week, but in the run game, and not only that, but Hightower made a couple of nice plays against the Panthers where he recognized, his play recognition is off the charts. His ability to read when it's not a run on a play action and instantly get to where he needs to be, cover who he needs to cover. He does that at a really high level. That's what makes him so elite as a linebacker, is all the knowledge he has from this system and how long he's been playing football. But real quick on the last thing on the Mac Jones, 142.1 passer rating. That obviously phenomenal. That was the Patriots' 1,000th game in franchise history. That's quite a way to play in 1,000th game, is win by 38 to a playoff contender, a team who's played pretty good football at times this year and has a lot of talent. So that was obviously good to see. The defense, Kyle Van Noy was good. He made that nice play. Should have been a fumble recovery. Should have been another turnover, but it didn't end up being that. Uche kind of had a couple, not bad plays necessarily, but a couple mistakes there. He jumped off sides and then didn't recover that fumble. That was a couple missed opportunities by him. Bill was not very happy when he got called for the offsides. He pulled him to the side immediately and had a few choice words for him that we can't repeat on here. But
he said, "Gosh dang it, Joshy, what are you doing?"
Yeah, that is the quote right there from Belichick. That is what he said exactly.
Quote it, write it in your article. But
yeah.
One sec, I want to just show this. Michael
talked
about this 3rd and 9, Jacoby Myers, nice little fade ball right here. And Mac Jones puts it on the sideline, going over the shoulder, and great job tracking the ball by Jacoby Myers, catching it. You'll see it here coming up in slow motion. But this is the kind of stuff that Jacoby Myers does, and this is what we expect him to do. Get open on 3rd down, be a sure-handed guy. Number 81 back there, he knew it, right? the guy in the stands knew it as soon as it was there. But this is not an easy catch, man. You got a guy draped on you. It's a little bit towards the body, not out in front like some people would prefer it, but he tracks it, he catches it, 3rd and 9, keeps the chains moving. We go down and score after this. So yeah, that was a great throw, pitch and catch, as some people would say. It was awesome to see that, and hope that continues downfield. That's a 26-yard gain, and people complaining about not getting the ball downfield. I mean, 26-yard gains are hard to come by in the NFL. These are good defenses, and especially on a 3rd and 9, you're taking a shot down the field like that. It was awesome.
And I do want to touch on this as well. I'll get your take on it first. After today's game, do you think we can beat Buffalo twice or at least split with them?
I think that after today, we know we should split with them. Now, I also don't think it's crazy to say that you can win 2 games against them. I mean, Buffalo has looked a little bit shaky as of late. Now they blew out who'd they play today now? Oh, the Jets today, which we blew the Jets out too. They lose to Jacksonville, and I think the secret to them, and Bill obviously knows this, and you're seeing this go on with the Chiefs, is playing 2 high safeties. Josh Allen is a big armed quarterback that can push the ball down the field, and you're going to have to play 2 high safeties and force them to run the ball. Their running game does not scare me. Their passing attack, Stephon Diggs, even Dawson Knox, Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley, guys like that, and Josh Allen, like that's what scares me. And I think that JC Jackson can shut guys down. Hopefully, Juwan Williams, Jalen Mills, guys like that can shut them down. But I don't think that it's crazy to say that we should split with them. Now, I think that after today, yes, it's also not crazy to say I would not be surprised if we go and beat them both times. That would be best case scenario. And if we beat them both times, we probably, knock on wood that we don't slip up on any of their games, but you probably win the AFC East if you beat them both times.
I think if we beat Buffalo both times, there's no chance we don't win the AFC East.
Yep.
I think realistically we should split. I would be a little surprised if we beat them twice, but if they keep playing the way they're playing football right now, it's hard to be that surprised that they're beating any team because they're playing really, really well right now. Guys stay healthy, and we get guys like Jonnu Smith more involved in the offense. Maybe Aguilar catches one of those deep balls once in a while. It's just going to keep opening things up, and I don't think there's any reason we can't beat Buffalo twice. I think we should split. If we lose both, that's going to be tough. I'm going to be a little bit upset about that just because I know the potential of this team now with the level they're playing at. So it's going to be two playoff-like games, and that was what Hunter Henry said about today's game, is that it felt like a playoff atmosphere. Two teams fighting for playoff spots. We know what the stakes were in this game. If we won this game, our playoff chances go up to like 68%, 70%. If we would have lost, they would have dropped to like 30, 32. That's for both teams. This game shot our playoff chances up quite a bit, and it was good to see the team perform when there were stakes. There was something at stake, and obviously there is every week, but when there's more at stake and it's against a playoff team, both teams fighting for playoff spots, it was a big game. It was a big win, and these Buffalo games are going to be intense. I'm very excited to see those games. We play at Buffalo first, I think, and then at home, but it's going to be fun to watch. I think we play at Buffalo right before our bye week. So we're going to have a long time with no bye week, and then we're going to play Buffalo and then have a bye, I believe. So we're not going to have a ton of rest, but then we're going to have the bye week, and then I think we play the Colts and then Buffalo not long after that. So it's going to be fun though. Those games are going to be two very, very good games, and it's going to definitely be a playoff environment. But I want to touch on this, the Hunter Henry catch real quick. This was the one that I was talking about, the over the shoulder diving by the sideline, keeps his feet in bounds. Great throw by Mack as well, but also just a phenomenal catch over two defenders. I mean, that's a great throw. Putting it only where Hunter Henry can catch it, and he makes a grab and holds on to it. Looks like he almost bobbled it a little bit at the end, but I mean, that ball placement is, you can't throw a better ball than that right there. That was perfect. Right over the defender's hand, and an amazing catch. One-handed. Looks like maybe it bobbles it a little bit when it hits the ground, but it counted, and it was a great grab, great effort by Hunter Henry on that one.
Yeah, the other one that I wanted to show from Hunter Henry, obviously we were talking about his 2 touchdowns. It's his second one, and it was kind of a weird camera angle they're showing, but it's actually perfect to see how well he runs this route. And Mac Jones, you're going to see him look off to the defense is right first. You're going to see him move number 56, who's playing the whole player right here. You're going to see him move him off of his line and then just throw a dart to Hunter Henry for his second touchdown today. He looks, turns his shoulders, resets, bam.
It's that
no
linebacker
chance.
Out of the way.
It's that linebacker to move. You know what? It's 2 shuffles, 1, 2. Nope, too late.
Boom.
You know, you move him off the hash. Touchdown, Hunter Henry. Shakes number 43. Great play right there. Great route running. Awesome to see Hunter Henry there. And Cole, you tweeted it, or you put it on Instagram today. Give the man a lifetime contract. I don't disagree, but so.
I mean, we got him for 3 years. I'd like to have him for 30. I mean, this guy is a red zone monster. I mean, Bill Belichick's always wanted him, and I see why. He's thriving in this offense. He's a red zone machine. Yeah, another game that's going to be great. Pats versus Titans. Oh, in the playoffs. Well, we'll see if they match up in the playoffs, but I'm going to Titans-Pats games. That is going to be a great game to go to at home. Gillette Stadium's going to be rocking against a really good Titans team who's playing great football. Just beat the Saints. Obviously, they lost Derrick Henry for a little while, and Julio Jones is on IR, so he will miss the game against us. So it's going to be A.J. Brown mostly who we're going to have to worry about, but that's going to be a great game, and that's going to be a big prove-it game for this team. The Titans are playing some of the best football in the NFL right now, and if we can keep it close with them or even maybe pull off a victory against that team, that says a lot, and I think that's just going to build the confidence for this team even more. So, even if that's a game that we lose, we're not going to win the rest of the games the entire year. I mean, there's a chance, I guess it could happen, but realistically, there's a lot of tough games left on the schedule. We're probably going to lose one that we feel like we shouldn't. That's just how football goes. I mean, the Bills lost to the Jaguars last week, so that's what makes the NFL so great. It's any given Sunday. You never know what's going to happen. Even if you're a 400-point underdog, you still can pull it off. Crazy things happen. So it's gonna be good, but we got to win the ones that are gimmies. We got to beat teams like the Falcons that we're supposed to beat, and if we want to be a playoff team and we want to stay competitive and maybe go for the division, something like that, these are teams we got to beat. So there's going to be a lot of fun games left on the schedule, especially if we keep playing football the way we're playing.
For sure. The rookie quarterback. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just the way he does it and how nonchalant he looks when he's throwing it, and he takes the short routes. He doesn't try to force things like you've seen by some quarterbacks. He takes what's given him, and then it opens up these big plays downfield. So I agree. He's making throws that you're not seeing other rookie quarterbacks do, and I think that he's very mature for being a rookie quarterback. Obviously, playing under Tua, Jalen Hurts waiting his turn, being a senior in college when he came out of the draft. Now that doesn't always help you, but I think that this is one of the cases where you're seeing it help and be great for him. Final Pat's record predictions. Did you have something to say, and then we'll get into this?
Yeah, and the play you just showed to Hunter Henry, that's not something that every rookie quarterback does. Not every rookie quarterback can look off a linebacker like that and fire it in there. I mean, it looks like a simple play, but there's so much going on in rookies' heads. It's a completely different level than college. And a lot of the times they might look off a defender and not really see that, or think the guy's going to be open across the middle, but then he's not. Then there's a safety there or whatever. It's just, he's doing all the little things, making all the right throws and taking care of the football. And that's all you can ask from a rookie quarterback. And he's doing all those things at a much higher level than I think any of us anticipated.
For sure. Let me touch on this real quick. We do a preview episode that will be Wednesday, so come back for that.
Tune in.
You're gonna have to tune in. We do records, we do spread picks for other games, not records. We do game picks, we do spread picks, we do player prop bets for the game. So make sure you tune in. That'll be Wednesday night, and then we'll be back Thursday night for the post game show after they beat them. There's my prediction right there, but you don't get to know the score yet. But Final record predictions: Patriots sitting at 6-4 right now. What are your final record predictions for this team as we're sitting now?
Final record predictions: we're 6-4. Let me pull up our schedule. You got yours off the top of your head?
So I think I mentioned this last episode, and let's see. I don't have it off the top of my head, but I remember what I said. So the games left: Falcons, I'm going to say win. Titans, with the way we're playing, you said it, Cole. I don't think that we lose any. There's not a game that we should expect to lose. Now, if there's two games on the schedule that I see us losing, it's going to be Buffalo in Buffalo and Tennessee in 2 weeks. Now, those are the two.
Those are the two. They're back to back.
Yeah, they are back to back. And then we go on by, and then we play the Colts, the Bills in New England, the Jaguars, and the Dolphins. So if you want my record prediction right now, I see us losing 2 more games. I see us being 11-6 at the end of the year. And I could easily see us being 12-5. I could easily see us being 10-7. It's an unforgivable game.
It's in that range.
It's in that range. I'm going to go with 11-6 right now, though, because the 2 games I really only see us slipping up on, and I still think they'll be competitive games, is the Titans and Bills in Buffalo. Those are the only ones that I could see us doing.
I'm going to stick with my preseason record prediction of 10-7, just because, I think that should be what you expect to be the floor of this team if they're playing like they're playing right now, because there's no reason that they should lose. The Miami one, that's always a game in the past. Going to Miami, playing in Miami January 9th. When you're in Foxborough, it's 15 to 25 degrees. When you're in Miami, it's 70 to 80. It's affects you a lot more than you expect. That's what we always struggle to play there. That's a game that we should win, but it's always a toss-up in Miami. We always play like crap for some reason. The 2 Buffalo games are toss-ups. The Titan game is a toss-up. You should expect to beat the Falcons, and you should hopefully expect to beat the Colts. They also, they can run the ball really well. Jonathan Taylor's a stud. Michael Pittman's really playing well. Carson Wentz is a guy that if you can you can get pressure on him, force him to make mistakes. He'll give you some throws. So I'm going to say 10-7, but 11-6 is kind of really where I hope we end up finishing. Obviously, I want us to not lose another game, but realistically, 10-7, 11-6 is where I see this team being at the end of the year, right around where we had them coming into the year. But I think when we started off 1-3 or 2-4, whatever we were, I think our expectations for this year went down a little bit. But this team has potential. This team's playing really well. They're firing on all cylinders. This team could win every single game the rest of the year. I don't think they will, but there's no reason they can't beat any of these teams on the schedule right now, the way they're playing.
Yeah, in our record prediction episode, before the season, we talked about how this stretch that we're going through right now was going to be the hard stretch, and we got through it 3-0. Chargers, Panthers, Browns. We got through it 3-0. Now we have another tough stretch coming up, obviously, Titans, Bills, Colts. But if you were to tell me at the start of the year we would have started off 1-3, and that was before we played, the Chargers, the Panthers, and the Browns, I've been like, geez, we might be, a top 15 pick again like last year. But the way that we've bounced back, especially in the games that we've needed to, it's given me confidence to say, those record predictions right around 11-6 is exactly right. So, yes, Pat Scout IG, I already am working on them. I'm in the lab working on them because last week's was so bad. 400 yards for Mac Jones against Carolina. Come on.
Pat Scout, I don't know if you remember my hot take. I said Ramondre Stevenson would lead the team in rushing against the Panthers. He did. Got one of them right. I was completely wrong on a couple others, but we're not going to talk about that. We're just going to talk about the ones we got right. So one of the hot takes was correct. We didn't do any, obviously, because we didn't have an episode before this game. But yeah, I think we're definitely going to do that. That was fun to do that a couple weeks ago for that preview game. But It's honestly, if you look at the schedule at this point, it's not a bad situation with the way the team's playing. We're 6-4. We have a short week against Atlanta, who's struggling. If we can win this game, we get a couple days extra rest to go against the Titans. Hopefully it can be a little mini bye for us, and hopefully some guys can get a little bit more rest and feel a little better going into a tough game against Tennessee and then Buffalo. And then we get the bye week. Then we have a week off, and then we can kind of breathe for a second. We have the latest bye week of any team. There's a couple teams that have the same bye week, like the Colts, who are going to play after the bye week. We both are on the bye week, and then we play each other. But we're going to the Bills had an early bye week. Late in the year, they might be feeling tired like we're going to be feeling for December 6th when we play them before our bye. So maybe we'll be a little bit more rested that home game, and it'll be a little bit of a different game, but we'll have more rest. We'll have been rested earlier, or we'll have been rested later in the year than anybody else. So hopefully that works to our advantage. If we can just make it through this stretch, we got 3 more games before the bye week. Falcons hopefully should be a win, and then tough game against Tennessee at home. That's going to be a toss-up. I'll probably say I maybe expect us to lose that one with the way they're playing, but you never know. And then the Bills as well, Monday Night Football. I hope the Manning brothers do that cast, because that'll be fun to watch. See them break down stuff on Mac Jones and Josh Allen and all that stuff. So it's going to be exciting. But we just talked about a tough stretch of the Chargers, the Panthers, the Browns. They went 3-0. This is another tough stretch where if they can make it through these 3 games, 2-1, that'll be good. And then we'll have the bye week, and then we'll have the rest of the year. And we'll have to figure that out. A couple more tough games, but make it to the bye week, get some guys healthy. Once we get to the bye week, we'll have hopefully have Jamie Collins back. And then Jonnu Smith, hopefully we'll be able to play this week. I think he was close to playing this week. But now he should be good to go for the Falcons. So yeah, another tough stretch. And then the bye week, just going to make it through a few more games and get to that bye week for some rest.
For sure. It's coming up, and it's something that's going to be well needed. But let's get back. Do you have any more goods, or should we move on to the little bads that we have? You have more goods?
No. I got tons of goods. Hunter Henry. I didn't mention him, did I? He was good.
We all mentioned him. We all knew
we talked about him. Yeah. He had 4 catches, 37 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's been great in the red zone. He's our red zone savior, like I talked about. I had 3 more guys on there that I haven't mentioned. Do you have any more on your side?
Yeah, sorry, let me pull my list back up that I had. I put Trent Brown, Isaiah Wynn, guys like that. Obviously the offensive line playing good and being able to rush for 150 yards a game the last 3-4 games has been a massive thing. But I think that the weak spot before Isaiah Wynn went on the COVID list and Trent Brown came back were those tackle positions at times. So holding Mac Jones or allowing Cleveland to only have 2 sacks today with the NFL sack leader, Jadeveon Clowney, other guys around him that can get pressure on the quarterback. And there really weren't many other times where I felt like Mac Jones was just in a heap of pressure like he was against Tampa Bay, against some of those teams early in the year. So I put the tackle positions, specifically Trent Brown, Isaiah Wynn, those guys were massive today, and they are going to be the key to our success continued. If we want to continue to keep this thing rolling, they're going to be big parts of it. And Michael Winnan, don't forget him, but who's ever playing the tackle position's got to continue to play well.
And we've talked about it all year. This team's success is going to ride on the offensive line and how well they play. So if this offensive line continues to play well, it's a key to victory for us. They're a big part of the run game and the pass game having success. So it's going to be a big factor in how they do. I didn't put Isaiah Wynn on my good list, but looking back at it now, I could see him being on the good list just because he played well today. He held Myles Garrett to 1 sack on the day. I know they sent a lot of chips. They had N'Keal Harry chip block. They had tight ends, running backs help him out, but it's Myles Garrett. You don't expect him to one-on-one with Isaiah Wynn get no sacks ever with no help. You know what I mean? He's one of the best pass rushers in the league. He's been a sack leader like 3 years in a row now, something crazy like that. So he's a very talented football player, and Isaiah Wynn held him in check for the most part. He did get help, but he did play well today, and I got to give him credit for that, along with Trent Brown on Wenu and the rest of the offensive line did pretty solid. So they were a key to victory for us today. Another guy I had switching over the defense side of the ball, Juwan Bentley. Another key play in the backfield, blew up a play, forcing Baker to throw it on 3rd down, or maybe it was 3rd down when he blew up that run play. But he's been good this year. He's been shooting gaps, getting in between offensive linemen when they're pulling and stuff like that, and making plays. So I thought he was good. And then you got any more?
I was going to throw Kyle Duggar on there. Obviously, an interception. Almost took it back to the house. Got to give him some credit. So I threw Kyle Duggar on there,
and I had him as well. And then J.C. Jackson. He's been doing his thing past few games, holding receivers to basically no yards, and you don't see his number called a lot. I think if he had an opportunity for maybe 2 picks this game, he dropped one of them and didn't make the play on the other. But still, he's making plays. He's not getting targeted often because he's been good in coverage, and when he does get targeted, he's not really letting up many yards or many completions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had 0 tackles, 0 pretty much anything, but that's because they ain't throwing to him and he ain't giving anything up. He had a great play on Donovan Peoples-Jones down the sideline. Donovan Peoples-Jones, obviously a bigger receiver at 6'2". J.C. Jackson played it perfectly. Almost had another interception also on a corner breaking route and hit him right in the chest. So yeah, I agree. J.C. Jackson always on that good list, especially today.
Yeah, and Duggar leading the team in tackles with 56. Yeah, he's all over the place. I won't speak for you, but I've commented on his coverage. This year early on wasn't great. Last year that was his main struggle. In the run game, he's great. He's been a lot better in coverage, and he's been making more plays in the passing game this year. So that's a level of his game that if he keeps improving his pass coverage, he's going to be an elite safety here pretty soon. Because in the run game, if he played the run every play, he's flying around making plays all over the place. So he's a very talented player, and if he keeps improving in the passing game, he's going to be special.
Yeah. Here is the Juwan Bentley play. I just wanted to pull it up because it was a great play. It was 3rd and 2 at the time, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, they're gonna go for it even if they don't get it, and then you're gonna see the left guard, he's gonna pull, and then you're gonna see Juwan Bentley from 4 yards back trigger and just obliterate Dearness Johnson in the backfield and make it 3rd and 5. And this way they can't go for it. And big time play right there. Cause at this point in the game, Cleveland looking for something with the way they feel confident running the ball, even though it's on their side of the field. I feel like this is a time where they're going for it. They kind of have to, but Juwan Bentley makes this play. They can't go for it. New England gets the ball back, goes down and scores anyways. So yeah, I agree. Juwan Bentley's on there also.
I got to say, JJ Taylor, a little disappointed in his overall. 6 carries, 11 yards. He averaged 1.8 yards per carry, and in the passing game, he had nothing. So obviously he didn't get nearly as many snaps, but when he got his opportunities, he did basically nothing with him. I had a little more hope for him based on some of the stuff he did early on and stuff like that. But it's clear Ramondre Stevenson has won that opportunity over, and he's going to be. I mean, if we see Ramondre Stevenson inactive the rest of the year for one game, I think that's a mistake.
Yeah.
I mean, some people might say he's arguably playing like our best back right now. I think Damian Harris. I think they're different backs, and I think they're both good. But I mean, Ramondre's playing well, and he can. I mean, when he's on the field, when Damian Harris is on the field, we usually know it's a run play or he's in pass blocking protection. When Ramondre's on the field, it might usually be a run play, but you can't count him out in the passing game. He's made some big plays in the screen game and check down, stuff like that. He's versatile. I mean, he's a guy that mixes things up for defenses. You can't really expect what's coming with him on the field. So I think he's going to be active. Him, Damian Harris, and Brandon Bolden are going to be the backs going forward. And it's a good combination for now. Obviously, James White would be making a big impact, but I'm happy with our running back room right now.
For sure. Well, let's get into the bad. I only have one. I don't know if you have any. Maybe you have one, and all this is probably going to be nitpicky because we have to come up with something. But the one for me, and you kind of hit on it earlier, was Jacoby Myers as a punt returner. A couple of those I would say all three of those 90-yard drives probably shouldn't have had to have been 90-yard drives, except for Jacoby Myers let it bounce, way too deep because he wouldn't just come up and catch it. Now, yeah, he hasn't caught punts in a while, and you don't always know. Since
college is like sophomore year, they said something like that.
Yeah, and you don't always know that it's going to bounce that far. But give props to the Browns punter and the Browns coverage unit. But that would be the one thing, is just not coming up and saving, the offense an extra 10, 15, maybe 20 yards at times. But it looks better on us because the offense was rolling and they went down and had 3 90-plus yard touchdown drives. So maybe that was his plan all along.
I will say last thing, well, two things that I didn't necessarily put on my good list, but we did touch on him, was third down as a whole for us, not just on offense, on defense as well. Yep. Holding them to 1 for 11 on third down is really good, and going 7 for 9, and it should have been 8 for 9 and another touchdown added to that on third down for us. Great. In the red zone efficiency and third down in general on offense and defense for this team was a huge key to victory. And that was exactly why we won this game. It's just because of that. I mean,
yep.
It was a huge key to victory. I don't really have any bads, but I'll go with what I just said as JJ Taylor, 1.8 yards per carry. He was limited in his opportunities, so it's hard to say he was bad, but I was looking for more out of him, especially with him knowing, hey, Ramondre is balling out multiple games in a row and I've been inactive. I need to show something and to get more opportunities on this team, and he just didn't show anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't, we thought that he'd be kind of the pass catching back once James White went down. Brandon Bolden's played great in his absence. Ramondre Stevenson stepping in, JJ Taylor slowly looking like his role on this team is getting diminished, and he's not going to have too much of a role, especially once Damian Harris comes back. But do you have anything else, or should we move on to the injury report?
I think that's it for bad for me, honestly. I mean, there's not a whole lot.
There's not a whole lot when you win 45-7, except for nitpicky stuff, and might as well just not say it. So
I guess
it really was a good win.
I guess my bad would be, and this is extremely nitpicky, you know what I mean, is dropping a couple turnover worthy plays, not converting with the Josh Uche. That should have been another extra turnover. Kyle Duggar dropped an interception, and so did JC Jackson. So that could have been 3 more turnovers, but I don't know. We won by 38 to a playoff team. It's not easy to nitpick on that. It was a great game. There's not really I wouldn't say anybody really played bad. And even maybe Jacoby Myers in the punting game wasn't that great returning it, but on the offense side of the ball, he made some key catches, third down conversions, and took some big hits. He did his part as well with some on the offense side of the ball. So I don't think anybody really played bad, to be honest. It's super nitpicky.
For sure. Let's get into the injury report. Obviously, the ones that didn't dress: Sean Wade still inactive, Ronnie Perkins, Jonnu Smith, Yasir Durant, Damian Harris, Jarrett Stidham, Gunnar Olszewski. Do you remember anyone going out with injuries in the game?
Jalen Mills went out early, but he came back. Looked like either a hand injury or elbow. I think they said elbow on the injury on the broadcast or whatever. I'm not sure. It looked like hand at first though. So, but he came back in and he was okay. So that is good news. But Jonnu Smith didn't play, shoulder injury. He's been nursing it for kind of weeks now. Last week got removed from press on Friday, and we thought he might not play. He ended up playing. this week, gets removed from press on Friday, doesn't play. Hopefully he's good to go for Thursday. And if not, then hopefully he's good to go on a ton of extra rest for a game homecoming against the Titans at home. So other than that, pretty injury decent game for us. Trent Brown wrapped his calf up at one point. I don't know if that's anything. I don't know if it was, I don't know what's going on there. Hopefully he's fine. He played the rest of the game after that, the second half. So that's good news. He looked good today. Other than that, Jake Bailey's one to monitor. We brought in 3 punters for workouts late in the week this week. I mean, I thought Jake Bailey might not play, but he ended up playing. Short week. Maybe that's something to monitor. Nick Folk, same thing. He's been playing all year though. So no big injuries necessarily to monitor. I do want to say prayers up for the Browns guy, Troy Hill, was it?
Yep.
You hate to see stuff like that. It looks like the Browns had a couple of decent injuries that you really hate to see.
They got beat up.
They
Not
really
only
did.
in the scoreboard, but that towards the end of the game, man. I don't know if some guys were just tapping, but there were some guys on the ground, and it was just like they were. I mean, it was a physical game by New England, and when you're getting beat like that, you don't want to play anymore. So yeah, they had a lot of injuries. Obviously, the Troy Hill one's the most significant. He got carted out on a stretcher.
And he was able to
Hopefully
move all his extremities. That was the last thing I heard about that. So hopefully he's okay. That's good news. Hopefully the cart and stretcher is just for precaution. We've seen that a couple of times with a Titans offensive lineman. What's his name?
Was it Taylor Lewan?
Yeah, Lewan. Yep.
Yeah.
He got carted off, but he was like fine the next day. Same with a guy, I think in the Seahawks game, Seahawks Steelers, maybe it was. But so far everybody's been fine, and it's just extra precaution. So hopefully he's okay. Hopefully he can return shortly, and it's something quick and it was just precautionary. But yeah, you hate to see teams get beat up like that. I mean, if it was the other way around, I'd be frustrated about us losing a bunch of guys as well. So you hate to see that. Hopefully everybody continues to stay healthy and there's nothing too serious. But Baker's extremely beat up as well. He's got like 4 different injuries going on.
Yeah.
So that's always tough. But I mean, heck of a game. It was fun to watch. Do you want to touch on this Titans thing that we kind of talked about, or?
Yeah, the thing that makes me the most nervous about the Titans game, obviously not the personnel as much without Julio Jones and Derrick Henry. It's the familiarity with the Titans' whole team. Obviously, they've been a mismatch for us since Brady's last game in the playoffs and even in the regular season. And Mike Vrabel, he knows Belichick. He might be one of the few head guys that was under Belichick that actually knows how to play and beat him. So that's the one thing is I think that Belichick is still better than him, obviously, but Mike Vrabel's a very, very good coach, and he's going to have his team ready to come into this game and play in New England and, look to get that first round bye. With only one team getting a bye in the playoffs now, Tennessee's in prime position to do that, and they got to keep that up, and they're going to have a tough game. So I think that's going to be a hard-nosed game where Vrabel and Bill are battling, and personnel might be down for them, and we might look like we should win on paper, but that's nothing to take lightly, and it's still going to be a tough game for us to win.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think Vrabel's on the same tier as Belichick, obviously, but he is a good coach, and you got to respect that. And he's from the Belichick tree, and we've seen the Patriots struggle with coaches from that tree at certain points. So obviously, some of the bad coaches we haven't struggled with as much, but I mean, Mike Vrabel and Brian Flores are both solid coaches that came from our tree, and there's been others, obviously, but yeah, we've never really matched up great against the Titans ever since kind of Brady's last year. I think a year or two before Brady's last year with us, we smacked the Titans in the playoffs, and ever since then, that was with Mariota, though, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since then, Derrick Henry's been a monster. He destroyed us. We don't have to worry about him, but we've never matched up great against them, and the coaching tree situation, it's not a game that I'm super confident about. If you look at it on paper and you say team to team with the people that they have down, I think we should win the game, but I don't expect us to win the game just because there are certain situations and the matchups in the past and the coaching situation. I think the Patriots are playing better football right now than the Titans based on the pieces they're missing. It's hard to say that. They beat the Saints this week in a close game. I didn't watch the whole game. I watched the end, but it's hard to say because I don't really have a ton of confidence in the Titans team in general. but they just beat the Saints. They just beat the Rams. They beat the Colts. They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Bills. They beat, obviously, Jaguars. That's not big. But ever since that loss to the Jets, they've won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in a row. Beat the Jaguars by 20. They beat the Bills in a big win. Beat the Chiefs by 24. Beat the Colts in overtime. Beat the Rams by 12. And beat the Saints today. So they got the Texans next up. Holy crap. Their schedules. I guess they played some tough teams, but now they got the Texans. They got us, Jags, Steelers, 49ers, Dolphins, Texans again. So their schedule, I mean, they're in prime position to get the 1 seed. They have 3 basically bye week games with the Texans twice and the Jags. Steelers are not, I think the Steelers are really overrated right now. And then the 49ers are not playing good football, and neither are the Dolphins. So their toughest game the rest of the year is going to be against us, and it's going to be a big one. So other than that, they honestly could win the rest of the games. I wouldn't be that shocked. I don't know. I don't know why they're a good football team, but they are, even with missing pieces. So I don't think we should underestimate them. That's what I'm saying.
No, not by any means. So, well, that's it for me. I don't got anything unless you do, Cole. We'll be back on Wednesday night to preview the Falcons game, and then back on Thursday after the game to do our post-game episode as New England plays Atlanta on Thursday night. But good win by the Patriots today. Awesome win by the Patriots today. This was the best win by far for the season. One that's going to get them rolling, keep them rolling, and hopefully carry over into many more victories and puts us in prime position to compete for that wild card playoff spot and even the AFC East. So excited to see where this team goes from here. But that's it for me. You got anything?
No, just, heck of a game. As a Patriots fan, you can't ask for much better than that. Playoff environment against a good Browns team, and they held them in check. Dominated after that first drive, which the Browns kind of dominated the Patriots the first drive. After that, completely different ball game. Pats outscored them 45-0. Went on that run, and it was just domination from start to finish after that first drive. So great football game. It's going to be fun to watch this game again, watch some of the highlights, watch some film and stuff like that if Game Pass allows. And great game, fun to watch. This team is really starting to be super exciting to watch again. Obviously, it's always fun to watch Patriots games, but this team is great. Jace, I'm going to follow you. Boston headline. Yep.
Sounds good. Yep. I'll follow you back once I see that come through. So once I get off of here, but I got a funny story. Game Pass saved me today. So I record the games because when I go to church and then I come back, we play. So the time the Patriots game start is 11 o'clock for me, Mountain Time. We go to church at 10:30 and 12:30. So I record the game, turn my phone on airplane mode so I get no notifications or anything, and then come back and watch it. Well, as soon as the fourth quarter starts, the program goes, we're going to flip it over to the Titans Saints game, a closer game. And I had it recorded, so I couldn't exit out and go to a different channel because I do have NFL Sunday Ticket on DirecTV that I can watch all the games, but I couldn't go. So I was freaking out, and then it clicked in my head. I'm like, wait, the game's over, so I can just go watch the replay on Game Pass. So I just watched the replay on Game Pass. So I love Game Pass right now, but in 2 days, once I go back to watch the replay, I'll hate it. But for now, Game Pass is the reason I watched the fourth quarter of the game because it saved me. But
there you go. But then you got spoilers, and you knew what the score was. But I guess you knew they were going to win anyways based off the fourth quarter. Yeah,
I knew it.
Yeah. So that's different. But yeah, heck of a game. This does a lot for the playoff standings. We're in 6th place right now. If we continue to play football like this, we've got a good chance of making the playoffs and being at least a wild card team somewhere in there. So this team's fun to watch on and off the field. I love a lot of the players that we got this offseason. I think the personalities are meshing really well together. Kendrick Bourne has been a guy who's produced more than I expected him to, and also just his energy. The dude's always smiling. He's making a ton of plays, and even when he's getting tackled, you just see the biggest grin on his face all the time. I'm a big fan of him. Hunter Henry's doing his thing. This wide receiver group, the tight ends, everybody is just meshing together really well, and it's really fun to see everybody being so excited and playing such good football together. It's fun to watch Patriots football right now, and hopefully it continues. Thursday night game, big one against the Falcons, and then we'll have a little bit of time off. We'll have 9 days until the Titans game, and that's going to be an actual real big game. And I think it's going to be a prove-it game for this team if they continue playing like this. So going to be a tough challenge, but heck of a game this week. Fun to watch. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Subscribe if you haven't already. I appreciate all the comments. We love you guys interacting, and seems to get more and more interactions as the season goes on and the better the Pats play. So keep tuning in. We appreciate it. We're going to have a prediction episode on Wednesday previewing the Falcons game. We'll do all that stuff, and we'll get into all the fun predictions, and hopefully we did a little better than we thought we did last time against the Panthers. But you got anything else, or we also?
No, I was just gonna say, along with the comments, we love the comments. Obviously, we can pull them up and talk, but we're also gonna try. Maybe we'll still talk about this, but we have the opportunity for you guys to call in, and you can actually come on the show maybe for 5-10 minutes, and we can actually have a Q&A, or you can ask a question about the game and we can get on you. So we might try that out. We're still, talking about how it would go with the flow of the post-game show. But if you want to be in that, just continue to tune into these post-game shows and continue to type in the comments and be active. We appreciate it. We love talking with you guys and, being involved with Pats Nation. So we'll continue it as long as the Patriots football team is existing. So forever.
Exactly. Forever. For the rest of our lives, we'll be doing this. So stay tuned until we're 80. Until we're underground, we're going to be doing this. So,
until I'm 6 feet in the ground, I'm doing it.
Exactly. As long as the Patriots are a franchise. So, but yeah, so if you guys are interested in that opportunity and stuff like that, just make sure you're tuning in and paying attention to when we do post-game shows and stuff. And I'll keep you updated on Instagram if we end up doing that, and we'll have links to that and all that stuff. So, but yeah, we appreciate all the support, and subscribe if you guys haven't already. And until then, we will see you guys on Wednesday.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Patriots Drive podcast. Follow us on social media to stay up to date with all things New England Patriots. Make sure you tune in to the next episode and check out patriotsdrive.com for more great content.
We're on to Cincinnati.